87% of enterprise AI tools fail because they can't connect to existing workflows. Anthropic just changed the game completely.
Wait, are you saying they've solved the integration nightmare? So we're breaking down these plugins, how they actually work, and which departments benefit most?
By minute 4, you'll know exactly how to pitch this to your CTO. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the AI Daily Podcast. Today's news and a deep dive to help you stay ahead in AI.
Today we're diving into Anthropic brings Agentic plugins to Cowork.
Stick around to the end for this week's headlines. Let's dive right in.
So Anthropic just dropped something pretty significant with their Cowork platform. They're introducing agentic plugins that could fundamentally change how enterprises think about AI automation. And Alex, this isn't just another chatbot integration. We're talking about AI agents that can actually take actions across your entire tech stack.
Right, and the timing here is fascinating. They're going head-to-head with Microsoft's Copilot ecosystem and OpenAI's enterprise tools. But what exactly makes these agentic plugins different from what we've seen before?
Great question. The key difference is autonomy. Traditional plugins are reactive. You ask ChatGPT to search the web, it searches and gives you results. Anthropic's approach with Cowork appears to be more proactive. These agents can chain together multiple actions, make decisions based on context, and execute complex workflows without constant human supervision.
So we're moving from AI as assistant to AI as autonomous worker.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting for enterprise customers. Anthropic claims they're open sourcing 11 of their in-house plugins. Now, we haven't been able to verify this claim independently yet, but if true, that's a massive differentiator. Microsoft keeps Copilot's integrations pretty locked down. OpenAI has their plugin store, but the core infrastructure isn't open source.
But wait, let's think about this from an enterprise security perspective. Autonomous agents with access to multiple systems, that sounds like a compliance nightmare.
You're absolutely right to be concerned. And this is where Anthropic's origin story becomes relevant. Remember, Dario and Daniela Amadei left OpenAI in 2021 specifically because they wanted to build AI with safety as the primary focus, not an afterthought. They've spent 3 years building that reputation with Claude, positioning it as the responsible alternative to ChatGPT.
And they've got the backing to make this work, right? Both Google and Amazon have poured billions into them.
The funding is crucial here. Google committed $2 billion, Amazon put in $4 billion. That's not just venture capital, that's strategic investment from 2 of the 3 major cloud providers. It gives Anthropic instant credibility with enterprise customers who are already running on AWS or Google Cloud. Plus, it means they have the infrastructure to handle enterprise-scale deployments.
So they're not just competing on features, they're competing on ecosystem integration.
Exactly. And think about what this means for the competitive landscape. OpenAI has first-mover advantage and Microsoft's enterprise distribution. Google has workspace integration with their Duet AI. But Anthropic, they're trying to be the Switzerland of enterprise AI, neutral, safe, and interoperable with everyone's existing systems.
But can they actually deliver on that promise? Enterprise automation is notoriously complex.
That's the billion-dollar question. Coming up, we'll dig into exactly how these agentic plugins work, what Anthropic's safety-first approach actually means in practice, and whether they can really challenge the Microsoft OpenAI enterprise juggernaut. All right, let's get into the technical meat of how these agentic plugins actually work. Based on what we know about Claude's architecture and Anthropic's approach, these aren't just API wrappers. They're building what they call constitutional AI into the agent layer.
Constitutional AI. That's their approach where the AI has built-in principles it follows, right?
Exactly. So imagine you have an agent that can access your CRM, modify database records, and send emails. Traditional approaches would rely on permission systems and API limits. Anthropic's approach adds another layer. The agent itself has constitutional principles about what actions are appropriate. It's like having business logic baked into the AI's decision-making process.
But how does that work in practice? Can you give me a concrete example?
Sure. Let's say you have a sales automation agent. Traditional approach, you give it access to update deal stages in Salesforce, and you hope your permissions are set correctly. Anthropic's approach, the agent understands concepts like deals should only progress forward unless explicitly rolled back, or customer data should never be exposed across account boundaries. These aren't just rules in a config file. They're part of how the agent reasons about every action.
That sounds computationally expensive. What's the performance impact?
Great point. Based on benchmarks from Claude 3.5 Sonnet, we're seeing response times around 2 to 3 seconds for complex reasoning tasks. That's compared to sub-second responses from GPT-4 Turbo. For real-time applications, that could be a deal breaker. But for background automation tasks, processing invoices, updating project statuses, generating reports, that extra second of thinking time might be worth it for the added safety.
Speaking of Claude 3.5 Sonnet, they just introduced that computer use capability. Is that related to these plugins?
Absolutely. And this is where it gets really interesting. The computer use feature is essentially Claude taking screenshots, analyzing them, and then controlling mouse and keyboard inputs. It's like robotic process automation, but with actual understanding of what's happening on screen. Now, imagine combining that with purpose-built plugins for specific enterprise systems.
So instead of screen scraping, you could have native integrations where available, but fall back to visual automation for legacy systems.
Exactly. And that's a massive advantage for enterprises. How many companies have that one critical system from 2003 that no one wants to touch, but everyone depends on? With this approach, you could automate workflows across modern APIs and legacy interfaces seamlessly.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room: accuracy and reliability. What happens when these agents make mistakes?
This is crucial. Anthropic claims their constitutional AI approach reduces harmful outputs by 90% compared to base models. But in enterprise context, even 99% accuracy might not be good enough. If an agent incorrectly updates financial records or sends wrong information to customers, that's a serious problem.
And that's where the open source angle becomes interesting. If there really are open sourcing these plugins, enterprises can audit the code, understand exactly how decisions are made, and potentially add their own safety checks.
Right. Compare that to Microsoft's Copilot, where you're essentially trusting a black box, or OpenAI's plugins, where you can build your own, but the core infrastructure remains proprietary. Anthropic seems to be betting on transparency will win over security-conscious enterprises.
What about integration complexity? How hard is it actually to deploy these agents?
From what we've seen with Claude's API, Anthropic prioritizes developer experience. Their Python SDK is clean, well-documented. If they bring that same approach to Cowork, we're probably looking at fairly straightforward integration. But, and this is a big but, orchestrating multiple agents across different systems, that's where complexity explodes. You need service meshes, monitoring, rollback capabilities.
And cost? What's the pricing model looking like?
They haven't announced specific pricing for Cowork yet, but Claude 3.5 Sonnet runs about $3 per million input tokens, $15 per million output tokens. For comparison, GPT-4 Turbo is $10 input, $30 output. So Anthropic is already positioning themselves as the more affordable option. But when you add agent orchestration, compute for those constitutional checks, and enterprise support, we could be looking at significant costs at scale. Coming up in our final segment, we'll break down exactly what enterprises should consider before jumping into agentic automation and what this means for the future of AI in the workplace. All right, let's get practical. If you're an enterprise architect or CTO listening to this, what should you actually do with this information?
Yeah, because this feels like one of those moments where being too early or too late could both be costly.
Exactly. So here's my framework for thinking about this. First, assess your automation maturity. If you're still struggling with basic RPA or haven't even digitized your core processes, jumping straight to agentic AI is probably premature. You need clean data and well-defined workflows before AI agents can be effective.
That makes sense. What about companies that already have some AI initiatives?
For them, I'd recommend starting with a proof of concept in a low-risk area. Maybe use Anthropic's agents for internal documentation updates or report generation, something where mistakes are visible but not catastrophic. This lets you understand the technology's limitations without betting the farm.
What about the build versus buy decision? If these plugins are open source, should companies customize them heavily?
Great question. My advice? Resist the urge to over-customize initially. Use the stock plugins, understand their behavior, then gradually add your business logic. The beauty of open source is you can always fork later if needed, but starting with heavy customization means you're essentially building your own AI agent framework, which is a massive undertaking.
Let's talk about competitive dynamics. How should enterprises think about vendor lock-in with these AI platforms?
This is critical. Unlike traditional software, AI models create a different kind of lock-in. Your agents learn your business processes, accumulate context, develop muscle memory for your workflows. Switching providers isn't just about migrating data, it's about retraining entirely new systems. My recommendation? Design for multi-model deployments from day one. Use Anthropic for safety-critical workflows, OpenAI for creative tasks, maybe Google for data analysis. Build an abstraction layer so you're not locked into any single provider.
That sounds complex to manage. What about governance and monitoring?
This is where enterprises need to invest heavily. You need comprehensive logging of every agent action, decision provenance, and rollback capabilities. Think of it like GitOps for AI agents. Every action should be versioned, auditable, and reversible. And you need human-in-the-loop checkpoints for critical decisions, at least initially.
What skills should teams be developing to work with these systems?
It's not just about AI expertise anymore. You need people who understand distributed systems, because these agents are essentially microservices with reasoning capabilities. You need security experts who can think about prompt injection and data exfiltration through AI. And crucially, you need domain experts who can translate business logic into constitutional principles that agents can follow.
This sounds like a significant organizational change, not just a technology adoption.
Absolutely. And that's why I think Anthropic's safety-first positioning is smart. Enterprises are naturally risk-averse. By leading with safety and transparency, they're speaking directly to CTO concerns. But here's the thing. Safety can't come at the cost of capability. If Anthropic's agents are 50% slower but only 10% safer than competitors, that's a tough sell.
So what's your prediction? Where does this go in the next 12 to 18 months?
I think we'll see rapid consolidation in the enterprise AI space. Smaller players will get acquired or fade away. The winners will be platforms that can demonstrate real ROI, not just cool demos, but measurable business impact. And I think we'll see hybrid approaches become the norm. AI agents handling routine tasks, while humans focus on exceptions and strategy.
What excites you most about this development?
The potential for genuinely autonomous business processes. Imagine AI agents that can handle entire workflows, from receiving a customer request to fulfilling it, including edge cases and exceptions. That's not just automation, that's transformation. But, and this is crucial, it only works if we build it responsibly, with human oversight and clear accountability.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Start experimenting now, but start small. The companies that will win in the AI agent era aren't necessarily the ones that move fastest, but the ones that learn fastest. Build feedback loops, measure everything, and be prepared to pivot. Because this technology is evolving so rapidly that today's best practices might be obsolete in 6 months. The key is building organizational muscles for continuous adaptation.
And keeping safety and ethics at the forefront throughout that journey.
Exactly. Because ultimately, these aren't just tools. They're digital coworkers. And just like human coworkers, they need training, supervision, and clear boundaries. Get that right, and the potential is transformative. Get it wrong, and you're automating chaos at scale. Before we wrap up, let's catch up on this week's infrastructure news. There's a fascinating development in the AI investment world. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang is pushing back hard against reports that he's unhappy with OpenAI. According to CNBC, Huang revealed plans for what he's calling a huge investment during what he dubbed a trillion-dollar dinner.
A trillion-dollar dinner? That's quite the power lunch. What's the actual investment looking like?
Huang says this could be NVIDIA's largest investment ever, aimed at providing OpenAI with the computing infrastructure they desperately need. He's clearly trying to squash any rumors of tension between the two companies.
Speaking of new developments, there's an interesting release in the open source AI space. Comfy.org and Circlestone Labs just dropped a new anime-focused model called Anima on Hugging Face.
What makes this one special? We've seen plenty of anime models before.
It's actually a distinct architecture. They've combined Cosmos 2's 2B image model with QN3's 0.6B text encoder and QNVAE. The collaboration between Comfy.org and Circlestone Labs seems to have produced something quite unique for anime-style generation.
Now, here's something that might ruffle some feathers. OpenAI is rolling out beta ads on ChatGPT. According to Adweek, they're asking for a minimum commitment of $200,000 just to get in the door.
$200,000 just to get in the door? That's a hefty price tag. How are they planning to integrate ads without disrupting the user experience?
They're keeping it tightly controlled for now, testing different ad formats to see what provides actual value to users. It's definitely a delicate balance they'll need to strike.
And here's a surprising revelation from Mark Gurman at 9to5Mac. Apparently, Apple is running on Anthropic at this point. He says Claude is powering a lot of Apple's internal product development.
Wait, Apple is using Claude internally? That's huge.
Not just using it, they have custom versions of Claude running on their own servers. Gurman says it's become integral to their internal tools and development processes. That's a significant vote of confidence in Anthropic's technology from one of the world's most secretive tech companies.
That wraps up this week's news. That's our show for today.
If you found this valuable, please subscribe and share with a friend who'd appreciate it.
Drop us a comment with your thoughts on today's topic.
Links to everything we discussed are in the show notes.
Until next time.